he had a military-style pistol with extra magazines and all these other bad things. All of a sudden, Republicans are saying you shouldn't bring guns to protests. Bro, I have led protests of armed people at a state capitol before. We were joking around with state police. Nobody was shooting at each other, but I have led those protests armed. Come on. Of course you can be armed at a protest.
6 months ago, these...
Hey guys, welcome to the Twisted View. Don't forget, subscribe and like our channel. Click that little bell icon for notifications. Find Twisted View Podcast on your favorite listening app. If you have suggestions or just don't like what we said, we really don't care. It's IHateLeland@twistedview.com. Welcome to the panel. Hey, it's Handsome Ryan. Good to see you, brother.
Man, it is so good to see you. So
love it. Love having you here, man. Yeah. And of course, we've got Benjamin Allbright. Boy, the Broncos had a good year this year.
They did. Almost got us to the Super Bowl. Tantalizingly close.
Tantalizingly close. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Guys, we got to dive into the ICE thing. It's kind of like the elephant in the room in all of America. Specifically over the last couple of days, I don't know when you're watching this, but the Grammys just happened. And it seems like nobody is taking, what was the comedian?
Ricky Gervais.
Nobody's taking his advice, right? Because here come those celebrities lecturing all of America about how we're supposed to feel. But I want to zoom in on Billie Eilish. She said that we're on stolen land and that ICE should get out and all this nonsense. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm getting a little bit tired of just the silliness behind all of this, because the targets that ICE have, it doesn't mean other people don't get caught up in the mess, are pedophiles, rapists, murderers, assaulters, robbers, burglars, etc. That's who they're specifically going after. They catch a few other up in their net. But to think about this from a standpoint of it's stolen land is a little weird to me, because name the spot of land on the planet that wasn't stolen by somebody at some point, if you want to call it that. Land taken by force, if you want to call it that, has happened to almost every square inch of the planet. Am I wrong?
No, I think you're right. Is Billie Eilish Native American, or, I mean...
Haven't heard.
Okay. Is she give it up?
I've never seen her DNA plus me or whatever.
I don't know.
23andMe profile. I don't know.
Forever, I just thought people were mispronouncing Billy Idol, and he'd had a son come back. So that's a great day for a white wedding. Right. I'm confused here because ostensibly Billie Eilish lives in the United States. And
correct.
On United States land, right? And I'm curious as to how many Native Americans she has decided to donate her land to.
Well, see, that was the thing. I asked this on Facebook earlier today. I was like, well, if she's correct, then if you steal something, what's the proper response? Give it back. So she needs to give her house to illegal immigrants and leave the country. Well, and so does 300 million Americans, apparently.
Yeah, whomever she's, because I don't know, I didn't see her part. I saw the Bad Bunny one, I didn't see her, so I can't.
Yeah.
But I don't know, is she Native? I thought she was like British or something.
I think she's British.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, she's wealthy.
Okay,
all right. Here are the layers to this onion, right? It's a $16 million mansion. It's in a secured environment facility.
Oh, you've checked this out.
Well, there's been aerials.
Are you like Howard Wolowitz on Big Bang Theory?
A little bit.
The super top model's house? Because she is pretty gorgeous.
Gated community. Okay. Full security, bodyguards everywhere. So yeah, kind of to Benjamin's point, like put your money where your mouth is.
Right.
GTFO. Mm-hmm. You have some illegal aliens or Native Americans move in.
Sure.
And the other part about this is a very simplistic view of what America is and what it was built on. And you go back to your point, Leland, Native Americans, it's not one brush that you paint them with. There were warring tribes all over the entire continent.
Some enslaved others.
Exactly. Iroquois, Cherokee, Comanche, very violent tribes. And there were peaceful tribes like the Hopi, and those lands were conquered. And there was bloodshed without the white man even having any part in it.
Yeah.
So if we're going to go back, then go back that far, and let's keep going until there were no humans here.
Right. Exactly. I mean, that's the absurdity of it. And what bothers me about, look, everybody has a right to their opinion. I would never tell her that she doesn't have a right to do it. And she can use her platform however she wants to. I'm just not going to watch the Grammys if this is the nonsense I'm going to see, right? She can absolutely say those things, but it's the absurdity. And I guess what I wish I wish, guys, is that society would respond to stupidity like that by calling it what it is. Instead, we just either pretend, most people pretend it doesn't happen, so they're going to do it again next year, just like they did it last year. I mean, that whole Ricky Gervais thing was like the greatest Grammys because he basically told them straight to their face, guys, no one cares about your freaking opinion. And they almost like 10x'd it after that, you know? I mean, it's like, what are you doing? Nobody cares. Just go act. I mean, of all things, you're an actor, which means you're literally the least authentic person on the planet.
Yeah, I don't watch the Grammys anyway, but I don't understand. Like, was this the theme last night or something? I saw the Bad Bunny clip on social. So
it's the theme because celebrities all have to do the same thing when one person. Although there was one, I can't remember the name of the actress, but there was one actress that got caught on camera smirking at Billie Eilish's thing, and it's gone viral today because she was. There might be a little bit of diversity of opinion in the room, maybe just a little.
Well, one of the greatest things I've seen in one of those award shows, I believe it was David Harbour at the time. Stranger Things was big. I think they'd won an award, and he started getting political. And Winona Ryder's up there on stage, and there's this meme where there's these mathematics. She's like, what's going on here? Why is he doing this? And I like that reaction because it was authentic in that moment. And, you look at the celebrity influence and the lack thereof.
Right,
Beyonce, all these other ones coming out for Kamala Harris in 24, and she got shellacked at the polls by the average Americans in flyover country for whom there is so much disdain from this type of community, the liberal coastal Hollywood elites, that they no longer connect on any level if they ever did at all.
So that's a good question, Ben. Does it move the needle at all? Does anyone care?
I don't think so. I think it's because I think it is the norm that it doesn't move the needle. It is the norm that they give those speeches, so it doesn't move the needle anymore. The norm would be if we didn't have that, and then you saw it. I think you remember back to Kanye West and Mike Myers and how Myers was embarrassed when Kanye was like George. That was like a moment that grabbed your attention because that was not the norm. The thing that
I don't remember which award ceremony, but which one was the one where Will Smith slapped
Chris Rock?
Chris Rock. That was phenomenal. Could we have that again? Could we have somebody get slapped? That was phenomenal. I loved that.
I think they're reading the room wrong, and they being I'm using a collective for Hollywood, at all. But I mean, we've had an undercurrent of populism in the United States since, it really came out in the Huckabee campaign versus John McCain, but it's been festering before that. We've had this wave of populism come through. And don't get me wrong, I'm not the biggest populist, but it's here. And there's sort of a backlash against the billionaires, the celebrities, all this kind of stuff. There is sort of a backlash against this. So I'm not sure that even doing this helps. If you truly believe that, Billie Eilish and Bad Bunny, if you truly believe that, I'm not sure that standing up at these types of things actually helps you because there's sort of an undercurrent against all that right now.
Well, that brings me to an interesting question because, like you said, the room right now is populist, and I'm not. Yeah. Okay, like I voted for Trump, right? I support some of what he's done economically, not all of it, some of it, and I understand the room in America. I understand that my libertarian philosophy, don't tread on me, is not the predominating philosophy in the world. Now, I will try to continue to convince hearts and minds one at a time as often as I can, or on a platform like this as much as I can. But the reality is I don't feel like the Republicans are reading the room really well right now either, right?
I'm with you on that.
Something else afoot, because at one point, like with the ICE stuff, like again, the Preddy situation,
Renee Good.
Renee Good. Obviously, those people did things that culminated in their deaths because they made bad, ill-informed decisions to put themselves in bad position. Did that have to be the outcome just because of that? Maybe not, right? There's a place in America for a mature conversation around those things. But what ends up happening is it's all ICE get out. So we should just leave the terrorists and the pedophiles and the murderers here, or the other way. No, keep just grabbing them off, and it's like, there's a lot of misinformation in this world too. The whole kidnapping people in vans isn't happening. How could the Republicans have pushed back against that better? Maybe. I don't know.
I think the rollout was bad to begin with. Republicans came in February, we had with the election, we were 4-1. We're 80% on immigration. If you check the polls, we're 80%. Republicans were 80% against on immigration. So, and now you're underwater. Mm-hmm. So the rollout in and of itself was bad. To me, in both these situations, we can get in the weeds in it if you want, I feel like these ICE officers are not trained at the level they should be. Not that I'm a law enforcement expert. I did run checkpoints in Iraq, but I see every time I'm watching these videos, I'm seeing like situational awareness violation.
Right.
You're in the wrong spot. There's all kinds of these, no de-escalation. There's all kinds of stuff. You got to go into that situation understanding that your average civilian, just your average civilian's decision-making matrix is going to be off because they're nervous they're in a situation.
Yeah.
A protester or an agitator is going to be that much worse. You have to find, you as the professional have to find a way to de-escalate that and get around that. And so I look at this and I'm like, okay, I don't think these guys are trained across the board, at least not to the depth they should be. That's what it appears to me. And then, the messaging on this, I mean, you turn around and the PR campaigns that come out from the two political parties, we get the kidnapped child, narrative that came out for a minute there. You see how these narratives spin. And if the White House would quit being weird on the internet with other stuff, maybe you could get serious on this messaging and be like, look, Barack Obama deported more people than we did. We're trying to go out here and get the criminals and make this place safer. And if you can capture the narrative, put up the criminal records of the people that are out there, do things like that in an honest, good faith attempt. But I kind of feel like for as good as Donald Trump was at PR for himself, they're really bad at PR for this.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Well, and Kristi Noem got called into the principal's office because she and the Border Patrol chief went the other way. You got this misinformation on the left. Benjamin pointed out one of those. But to identify Preddy as a domestic terrorist who was looking to inflict maximum damage, we couldn't know that at that point. So what are you doing? You're getting in front of the story rather than, as Benjamin points out, control the messaging on it, be very deliberate with it. And they weren't, so they lost the discipline on that message. And then you had to have the adult come into the room, Tom Homan.
Yeah, that's such a great conversation or great point that Ryan makes, because people do forget that Tom Homan got the Presidential Rank Award for doing the same thing under the Obama administration and was given that award by Barack Obama. Right. That's a great point. I also think, training maybe, I don't know how you wait 2 or 3 years to do what you're doing right now for the training to catch up, because otherwise this is a major point of Trump's agenda and it doesn't get done. And I think it's vital to the economic and national security interests of the country that they did it, as quickly as they did it. But I don't completely disagree with you that there could be more training involved. The other thing is, it also should remind us that as adults, we shouldn't necessarily blame the individual foot soldiers on the ground who have been thrust into this situation where they are being attacked by cars, they are being dragged by cars, they are being hit with rocks and other types of things, and it culminates over 2-3 weeks, and finally a human being is inside of that body armor and snaps, right? Not justifying it. I'm simply saying that, like, there's a whole lot deeper conversation here than just ice bag, go home, or round them all up. Right?
Where this all began was this pushback against Trump winning in the first place in 2016 was so unexpected. People freaked out.
Right.
And so all these cities where Trump ran on, we're going to build the wall, deport them all. Then all these cities, Denver included, declared themselves sanctuary cities for illegal aliens, no matter who they were or what they did. That didn't exist back in the Obama administration.
Correct.
When he was the deporter in chief. Homan was on his watch. There was not resistance from these urban centers, blue cities, blue states. We didn't see this discord and rancor, but it's set up for that just by having this, and I think it's unconstitutional, this sanctuary status for either a city or a state against the federal government trying to enforce its borders.
Super good point. And going back to what you said about the message, Benjamin, the message should have been, hey, all we're asking in terms of cooperation is you get one of these guys in jail that's been a pedophile or been a rapist, and we have a detainer because we want to get rid of that guy. Just give us a call. That's all you got to do. Like, that's not even really cooperation. It's just give us a call. Just let us know, and we'll come pick him up. No skin off your nose.
I think that would have been, I think that what they should have done is approached some red mayors. You know what I mean? Supposed to be Republican mayors. And be like, we're going to do this.
There are any. Well, there are not many.
Every major metropolitan area is a crap storm because Democrats run it.
Find a
not to be partisan,
Republican governor.
Yeah.
Find a state where you could soft launch, as it were,
right?
Where I think if it kind of eased into that, I think there's twofold. I think that the rollout seemed sort of abrupt, and it kind of felt like, because of some other things Trump has done, it felt like it was political. Walz is the governor up there. It is, even though he's a bumbling idiot. Like, it looked like it was political retribution.
Okay,
it gives people that excuse.
Let me push back. It is happening in those other states, but people aren't burning the city down. So if you're going to enforce the law in the areas where a lot of these folks have run to,
I'm not disputing that at all.
Right?
I'm just
I
saying,
mean-
like, to me, I'm like, don't give them the excuse. Find a way to roll out the soft launch here, and then you can. If they don't want them there, fine. Okay, we're going to let your city. I'll let you continue to do this, and then eventually you're going to come call for me when all these other cities are safe, they're prospering, they're getting more. The tax dollars aren't being drained, all this kind of stuff.
But
Here's
what do
the
you do
example.
about the innocent people that live in those cities that are having their rights denied by the way those cities are being run?
That'll put pressure on them to change who they elect in their next election.
Yeah.
There have been examples, to Benjamin's point, on red states, blue cities that have gone pretty well. We're talking about Louisiana with New Orleans, Tennessee with Memphis.
Yep.
There are far more deportations in both Texas and Florida than there have been in Minnesota.
Right. Yeah.
Just Minnesota's become ground zero of this because of how obstructive both Mayor Jacob Fry and the
Because
Governor
they're
Tim
covering up
Walz have
fraud.
been. Well, yeah, obviously, the learning centers.
Yeah, they just got caught with $9 billion in fraud. They got to distract somehow. That's why I predict that all of this that we're seeing in Minnesota is now getting ready to shift to California for a couple of reasons. One, California's got more of that fraud, and two, their weather's better, so the paid protesters are going to love that way more. Right? Were you going to say something?
No,
you said like you were about to launch a verbal volley.
No, my frustration. There's a lot of this stuff is frustrating because it doesn't feel like we can come to the table and have this conversation right now. Which I believe is necessary. It feels like we're splitting apart as a country, and a lot of this could be avoided if we just did things a little bit better.
Totally.
And I know that sounds.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you guys, what's the libertarian articulation of this situation? Right, like I've been a libertarian for probably almost 20 years now. In terms of philosophy, not party. I don't have a political party. But I see people that think like me economically that vary on this issue.
Yes.
Some that are like, no, open borders. Everybody should be able to go wherever they want. The whole world is a libertarian utopia. I don't see it that way.
Yeah, I'm not quite there. I think you and I are on opposite sides of the Libertarian Party. Like, we're both libertarians, but we sort of have like, we're both like kind of opposite parts of that spectrum. Because I'm a fiscal conservative. I'm a free market fiscal conservative.
Yeah.
But on the other side of that, I'm a social permissive. Like, dude, as long as it's
I don't know that we're actually opposite sides.
Okay.
I don't care about the social stuff that you choose whatever. I don't
want the government out of the social stuff.
I want the government out of my bedroom and my wallet. I want them out both.
Yes.
But I also want a secure border. Right? Because we don't have a nation without a secure border.
I'm with that. I'm also, like, my mom was an immigration attorney, and I understand like how difficult that process is. Like, we need to overhaul the process.
That has to change.
And that's where nobody's looking at that. Everybody's looking at these people are crossing. We got to send them back. And I'm like, how about we get a process here? Why don't we switch to a national sales tax where if you're here illegally, you're paying in anyway? Get rid of the income tax. Stop taxing productivity. Start taxing consumption.
Well, I'm here in the middle, kind of
We'll punch it right in the face.
Amalgam, conservative, populist, somewhat libertarian me. So I'm not totally, I'm picking up what you guys are putting down. But I've seen a lot of disparate responses from libertarians on this issue, exactly as you said, Leland. But my whole point would be, I want to protect the rights of American citizens first and foremost. And if they're legal immigrants, I want to make sure that they are unfettered in that process. Benjamin's right. It's a very cluttered process. And for those that want to become American citizens, there is a way to do that. If you're here illegally, that in and of itself is a crime. Not that they should be targeted immediately. We've got to, I think, all come together that criminal, illegal aliens, all the types of bad hombres that you mentioned earlier, they are targeted. They are removed. Even Democrats should agree, like, we don't want them in our communities. That makes our cities less safe. So there is, though, the aspect, and this is the libertarian in me, where you go back to the Patriot Act and the government taking liberties with people feeling scared and taking advantage of that fear, saying, we're going to protect you. No. From a libertarian standpoint, I want as little government intervention and involvement as possible. And I don't like a police state where ICE is coming in and kind of throwing their weight around. The one example I would give is like in Team America World Police, the movie, where they just kind of run a roughshod over everybody. And, we don't want that either.
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, like, I think the libertarian, and I'm not a Libertarian Party member, but like the libertarians right now should be saying, we were right the whole time.
Right.
We told you about the Patriot Act. Yeah. We told you what was coming. We told you about your Second Amendment rights. You didn't want to have them here, and now all of a sudden you have them here, and now you're on the other side of this. We're in a fascinating time right now as we're watching the Democratic and Republican parties sort of abandon what has been their strongholds on issues for the last 40-ish, maybe 50-ish years, and there's all this weird overlap, thing going on right now. Libertarians should be like, we were right. Come join the party.
They like saying that.
To hear President Trump go on national TV and say that he had he had a military style pistol with extra magazines and all these other bad things. To hear him say that those are bad things in and of themselves, again, the narrative gets lost. All of a sudden, Republicans are saying you shouldn't bring guns to protests. Bro, I have led protests of armed people at a state capitol before. We were joking around with state police. Nobody was shooting at each other, but I have led those protests armed. Come on. Of course you can be armed at a protest.
6 months ago, these same people were saying we shouldn't take guns, fathers shouldn't carry guns to school to protect their kids and stuff like that. And now you're like, I'm like, wait, what are we doing here? Like, Alex Preddy, whatever, I believe that guy was a patriot. I believe he loved his country. I don't believe he and I believed in the same things and the best way to make this country the way we want it to be great. But I believe he was, and so that's to me, that's the problem, is we've all lost touch with like how to come to the table and have that conversation anymore.
I don't know if I'd give him a Patriot Award. I would say that there's probably a lot more to him than we know.
I believe he loved his country.
Neither side of the media is going to tell him that.
I believe he loved his country. I just don't think he agreed with current leadership.
He was misinformed.
To a level that I would not take.
I think he was deeply misinformed. I think he was mentally disturbed. And that there were people that took advantage of that, and then he made bad decisions. It doesn't make him a domestic terrorist like you were saying before.
A lot of rhetoric out there that's dehumanizing these ICE officers. And this is where I thought Tom Homan struck a brilliant note in his press conference.
I love Tom Homan. I think he's phenomenal.
He brought calm and a level head, saying these are officers that go home to their families. They're human beings. They have been dehumanized by the likes of Walls and Fry.
100%.
And it has fed into this kind of fury that we've seen with Preddy, that we saw with Good, where they're taking these great liberties to physically confront an ICE officer. Don't do that. You can disagree with them. You can show up and protest. But when you insert yourself in the middle of a law enforcement mission, now, all bets are off and anything can happen. And a lot of times bad things happen.
Well, 100%. The least of which is going to happen to you when you step between a law enforcement officer, federal or local, doing their duty, is you're going to get pepper sprayed. That's the least of it. If that's all you get, count your blessings. Don't step between these guys and them doing what they're doing.
Yeah, we
work it out in court.
We've got to find a way to lower the temperature.
I agree.
That's first and foremost, and that's to me that's the problem.
Well, it goes back to the human thing, right? You are not a human.
But we're not robots.
Like, for simply disagreeing with me, right? But there are people out there, I think on both sides, but I believe more of them live on the left right now, that have come to this place where anyone who disagrees with me is not a human being, and therefore, if they die, I mean, when you have Kathy Griffin. And you have I think it was the mayor of Chicago also,
Brandon Johnson,
and then there was another member of the legislature in Washington, all saying things like, "Hey, we need to go ahead and start figuring out who is a MAGA supporter and put a list together and plan." Yeah. Because when we get back in power, we're going to do X, Y, Z. Like, that's the kind of thing we should never hear out of any American's mouth, left or right. That should never happen.
You saw, initially, because Trump uses aggressive language. He does. He does. And it's inflammatory. And then you saw the Democrats one up there. You saw Walls. Well, maybe we need to fight fire with fire. What I can't remember the exact
call it Fort Sumter.
Yeah. I was like, at that point, I was like, okay, no, the temperature has gotten too high here. You don't fight fire with fire. You take the oxygen away, and then it can't go. You take you put water on it. Like, there are different ways to do that. And I think to your point, to back up your point, I think what has happened is with Trump, I think a lot of people who had felt marginalized felt emboldened. And then what you had from the left, the reaction to that, when you had left leaders come up and gin them up, and now you've got all these guys spun up. You got both these sides spun up. This side spun up a little. This side spun up a little more. Now this side spun up a little bit more. And it's an escalating situation. And I just, like, it frustrates me to no end that we can't get back to the table. Say Everybody watching this, the people that don't want, Tim Walz wants America to be great. He may have stupid thoughts on how to do that, but we all want America to be
I
livable.
think he just wants to stay out of jail for fraud. Well, that's all I think he cares about. But ultimately, the scary prospect of where this all ends is that right now there's a 50-50 coin flip chance that Gavin Newsom could be our president, and that terrifies the crap out of me.
I can't believe he's going to get the nomination. I refuse, until I see it, I refuse to believe he's going to get the nomination.
Oh, my God.
They might be dumb enough to do that, though, because he will lose.
Yeah. At the end of the day, I think you guys are all right about, like, to stop dehumanizing our political opponents. And I do feel like that as libertarians, we're sitting over here, we've been having these raucous debates for years amongst ourselves. And I'm like, that's the spirit of what created America in the first place, was people getting together, having raucous debates. And then they tried to take our guns away. So we started shooting, I mean, that's how America was born.
It's like, listen, guys, the whole reason we're here.
Right. So let's try to keep it on the conversation before the other stuff has to happen, So, well, we were going to have some fun on this show, but actually this was kind of a fun conversation. So next episode, we're going to talk a little bit about the NFL, Super Bowl coming up, all that good stuff. So awesome. Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate you being here.
You got it.
Cool.
Thanks for being here.
Benjamin. Leland Conway. It's a Twisted View. Make sure you find us wherever your favorite podcast is found.